Wendy says, I love your take about Anthony Gordon. I think he's a good prospect. I say drop back and get more picks and get Gordon. Well, Wendy, I've talked about this. I'm not in love with Herbert. I don't trust Tua at all. You're not getting Burrow. So if you don't take a quarterback early, like there was a guy on YouTube last night who goes, well, I can't wait to see the look on your face if the Dolphins don't draft a quarterback early. And I'm like, have you listened to the podcast? I'm not the guy freaking out that you gotta draft this guy now. No, man. No, I don't. You don't reach either. You don't force this issue. And trading up for Tua is forcing it. Drafting him at 5 is extremely risky. And it is what it is. So I don't mind Anthony Gordon later on in the draft. I'm not the guy that's I like Love too. Now, Love I don't take with my 5th pick. If I can take him at 18, then I would. I got no problem with that, but I'm not going to take Love that early because he's still a little erratic. And that part still, you don't know if you can get that out of a player. Big O, you were right on about the Miami Heat. What happened to them? That's 4 straight losses. Explain what is going on. 72 Fins logo, we just explained it. To open up the show, Dominic Veluso says, I think if they draft Herbert or Love, they will be sitting as well. I mean, at the end of the day, they still have Rosen cheap. Take a shot. We'll all act like the number 5 pick is the last $5 in our pocket. Yeah, but the difference is, my brother, Tua does not play at all season. You hope he's completely healthy and ready to take a hit by December so you can play him a little bit. Mathematically, you're going to be out of the playoffs. You can play Herbert halfway through the season. You can play Love halfway through the season and get a good look at Love and Herbert. And then you get them a lot of playing time going into next year. Also, remember this. Games that are out of reach for the Dolphins, whether they're blowing somebody out or they're getting blown out, early in the season, Herbert will come in. Love will come in. That's the difference. Tua will not. Tua will not play in September, will not play in October, probably will not play in November either. So there's no shot at those guys ever getting any playing time. And God forbid, Fitz goes down with an injury in week 2, Herbert gets thrown into the fire. Love gets thrown into the fire. Gordon gets thrown into the fire. That's if they're beating out Rosen, obviously. Tua, he has to sit on a bad hip. 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105 on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. The more QBs drafted ahead of the Fins, the better defensive player will be available at 5. Trade bait to move down and get more picks. FinFan70 says, or you can get a Tristan Wirfs, you can get a Brown, there's a couple of big-ass linemen that you can also get at number 5. Tommy Tremonti says, hi, Big O Radio. Hello, Tommy. Thank you, sir, for chiming in. Go Gator says, Big O, I think the mandatory 8 inactives is to save money, which is ridiculous. Yes, it is. Whatever excuse it is, it's ridiculous. You're putting your coaches at a disadvantage. Your teams are at a disadvantage. They can't activate as many offensive linemen as they would like. I hate it when there's like 2 linemen sitting there inactive and you've lost half of your line during a game. And you're like, you stupid rules. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Let's see what else. John Santos says, what about drafting an old lineman or defensive lineman at number 5? Well, I just said that. Yeah, definitely. I hope we can see if Rosen has a chance to compete for the starting job. Well, Rosen will have to compete with the youngster, not named Tua, drafted in the offseason and in the preseason. And then we'll find out who's number 2, because it won't be Tua because he can't play early on. FinFan70 says, until we know where all the free agent QBs are going, we can't guess if anyone will trade ahead of Miami to draft a QB. Very good, FinFan. That's why I don't get too much into the hypotheticals, because a lot of stuff hasn't been settled yet. You want to know everybody that's declared. You want to know everybody that's re-signed. You want to know everybody that's been moved and gone to another place in free agency. Then we can kind of start to, okay, these guys did this in free agency and this. Now they might go in this direction in the draft. We might get a better feel for what could happen. I am with you all the way, sir. I love that. I love that text. That's a level-headed text right there. Let's see. Dominic says, that's true. I have just seen the team constantly draft conservatively. Just instead of taking the shot, take it as it works out. You are good. Okay. Wendy says, that's because you keep it real, Big O. Can you see a scenario where we take Tua and maybe Anthony Gordon in the third? Well, Wendy, I've been talking about that for a while now. That if you take Tua at 5, which I'm not a fan of, please take Love, Gordon, Nate Stanley, Davidson from Princeton. Give me a second quarterback. And I have 4 options as a second. You have 14 picks. So, Wendy, it behooves you to go out and draft 2 quarterbacks. Douglas Anderson says, pass on Tua, trade back if possible, take Becton, Espinosa, and a running back or speedy wide receiver in the first round. There we go. Douglas is working that draft room, baby. Steve Neal says, trust the process. Let's see. What else do we have? Premier Reviewer says, I don't think the Finns will use their first-round pick and get more from a team that wants to move up. Hashtag get more picks. All right. There you go. So those are some of the comments coming in on the YouTube page. And again, remember to give us the thumbs up while you're watching and share the link on social media. Tell people about the talk show so they can get real talk. And remember, we're done here today at 11 with this show. Then we move over to Hialeah Park from 1 to 4. So today we do 5 hours, not 4 hours. Today we give you 5 hours of programming heading into the weekend, which is a beautiful thing.